For today's project, I want to show you how you can use free shapes in Cricut Design Space to create your own pumpkin faces. I'm going to start with a shape, and I'm just going to use a circle. If I stretch that circle, I can turn it into an oval. Then I'm going to right click and duplicate. And let's make this one kind of a little longer and skinnier. Now I can select both of these and go to combine and use subtract, and it just leaves this little piece, which to me looks like a smiley face. I'm going to use this multiple times, so I am just going to duplicate this and put that one over here. Now I could go back and take more shapes. Let's just do a square, and I could rotate that just a little bit, and then I could duplicate that and rotate that one this way. It doesn't have to be perfect. And duplicate. And let's duplicate again. I really like using the duplicate because it's copy and paste all in one function. And I can just right click and duplicate. And now if I select everything and use subtract, see how I took away everything for those teeth? Pretty fun. And I didn't have to individually do them because I was using subtract. I'm going to grab that original smile, and now I'm going to use some text. And I'm going to type in the word spooky. Well, that font isn't very spooky. So let's go look at our fonts. I want to use a Cricut font, and I want to see which ones are free. And then I can start to click on them to see which ones I like. I think I'm going to go with that one. This is called the Favorite Fonts Collection, Oli. I am going to change the color of this one just because I want you to be able to see it better. I made the word just about as wide as the smile. I am then going to curve to get the word spooky to kind of go with the curve of the smile. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just kind of giving it a little bit of a curve. Then I'm going to select this and say advance and ungroup to letters, because I want to be able to adjust each individual letter. Now, the trick here is to make sure things are ungrouped, and when you're adjusting individual letters, make sure that little padlock is unlocked. That is going to allow you to stretch each individual letter. So I want to have the letters so that the top and the bottom are touching or overlapping the top and bottom of the mouth. You're just going to continue on like this, playing around with the individual letters, stretching them, rotating them. Again, making sure the top and bottom of the letter overlaps or touches the top and bottom of the mouthpiece. Now I am going to select everything and use combine, subtract. And you can see I cut the word spooky out. So now I have 3 different mouth options. Then I can go to my shapes and just put in a triangle, because that's a good basic nose. How about some eyes? If I do an oval and then duplicate that, I can make a smaller oval out of that. Put those over the top of each other. Select just the ovals. There we go. And you subtract. And then I'm going to right click and duplicate that one. I could leave it like that, or I could flip it horizontally. And see how we're starting to build some pumpkin faces? If you need inspiration, go ahead and take a look online and see what you can find. When you really think about it, pumpkin faces or jack-o'-lantern faces are usually basic shapes. Yes, there are some people that get really detailed in things, but when we go back to how we used to do things as a kid, it's a lot of basic shapes. So look at those different basic shapes and look at how you can combine them and make new elements. Like this eye that I made out of a triangle and just sliced a little oval from the inside. And I could tilt them sideways or stretch them all crazy. Don't be afraid to experiment and play around. You can see here, I decided, those triangle eyes look better with the triangle nose, so I'm going to just move them over here. But that's part of the fun of playing around with design space, is that you can mix and match all of these different pieces. And not everything that you make is going to work out. I tried doing a little offset and just using a frame piece of the mouth, and I just didn't like it. But it's okay. You're experimenting, and that's allowed. And if you don't like it, just click undo. And then you can try something else. Because sometimes you'll click on something and be like, okay, that's cuter than I thought it was going to be. And that leads you down the road to another idea. While you're designing these, you could start to think about how you might use them. Personally, I'm not a fan of carving pumpkins. It's just messy. But I could take a pumpkin and cut these pieces out of permanent vinyl and stick them on there, and quick and easy, my pumpkin is all decorated. You could go grab an orange sweatshirt and get some glow in the dark iron on vinyl and cut one of these faces out of that glow in the dark iron on vinyl and press it onto a shirt. And again, if you're struggling with coming up with ideas, don't be afraid to go online and just type in pumpkin face or jack o' lantern face, and then you can get some ideas to start to experiment and just really look at the elements and see the basic shapes that you need in order to create the different designs. I hope this video gave you some ideas or inspiration or taught you something you didn't know about Design Space. One of my favorite things to do is to teach people how to use Cricut Design Space, because I really feel like if you learn how to use all the different functions in here, you can create anything you can imagine. If you want to learn more about how I teach people to use Cricut Design Space, make sure you head over to my website, seanmaj.com. And there is a button called Classes. You can book a one-on-one session with me, or your best bet is to purchase my Teach Me Cricut Design Space online course. In that course, I go over what each and every button in Design Space does. And if there's a Design Space update or they add a new function tomorrow, I'll start adding that information to the course. That way, you will always have the most current information. No more going online searching for videos only to find things that were recorded 4 years ago when Design Space looked totally different. You will always, always, always have the most current and up to date information. And I do that because I really want to see you be successful in using your Cricut and completing all of the projects that you can imagine doing. I'm here to help you on your Cricut journey. Think of me as your phone a friend. Before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. I love to hear from you.